Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. Monday. That's right. One of the dreariest Mondays ever. One of the, sluggish Mondays ever. One of the Mondays where, you go on a nice little bender of college basketball intake of the NCAA tournament, first 4 days, and everything else that comes with it. And then you hit that Monday. But you know what the NCAA decided to do? They said, no, we're going to cherry up that Monday for you, and we're going to make it transfer portal opening Monday for you. So I got a lot to talk about on that front. Quite a lot to break down. It's also a Monday where, football, spring practice continues to move forward. Spring break is done. Now we're back. We're ready to rock, ready to roll. So it's a Monday where I get to welcome in the guys as well. We're all back together. The car made it safely from Philly, and we are ready to lock in. So without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer, gentlemen, how are we?
Good. A new computer. Do I look more clear? Do I sound better?
Well, now that you're saying it,
you do look more clear.
Got a little crispiness to you.
Yeah,
you've been using some moisturizer. Your face looks nice.
The desktop, usually, we use these things a lot. The desktop gets a lot of work. So it usually lasts about 3-4 years. I bought this one the old one in 2021. It decided Friday night that or Saturday night that it had enough.
Ooh.
And I spent last night when we got home from volleyball trying to fix it. It did not work. So today I went out and got a new setup. But, things are good. If you can see, Kelsey had a tournament this weekend. They won second place in the gold bracket.
Let's go.
And had a good weekend, and it's all good. Camera's definitely more clear, but I don't know if it looked better as an app description. Read between the lines, Thrifty Walrus. Can you read between the lines?
Thrifty. That's why I said crispy. It's crisp, a little crispy. That's a good adjective there. Where was the tourney? I imagine it was one of those all-day affairs.
It was in Mason. We got there at 7 a.m. and we got home about 9 at night. Okay. We were literally the last game in the entire facility. Every other court was completely empty. There was nobody else there but us and the team we were playing, and that was it.
Wow. That's a quick day.
At least you got some hardware out of it.
Hey.
Got some hardware out of it. It's the first medal of the year for the new team. So rock on.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear.
We just missed one 2 weeks ago. We lost in the championship game 2 weeks ago, and only gold got a medal at that tournament. This tournament, gold and silver got a medal. So we got a medal.
Redemption, baby. The redemption.
Making progress.
I love it. Aaron, sir. How are we down there, brother?
Good. Just pretty chill weekend, actually. I blame the weather. Just cold and dreary.
Oh, man.
Couldn't really get these kids out. So hopefully there's not too many of those left, because I think everybody's got a little bit of cabin fever around here.
Oh, man.
Would you say you blamed it on the rain?
Oh. I've seen fire and I've seen rain.
No. Okay. New edition. Blame it on the rain.
Blame it on the rain. I don't know.
I regret everything.
Not a bad weekend for a little cabin fever. You just turn on TBS, TNT, True TV, and CBS and figure it out. Just let it ride. So are you back now? Weather's better? Are you feeling a little bit more upbeat?
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Went and picked up some groceries today.
There we go.
The extent of it.
Man, that is amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that is awesome. Royer, sir, how are we? How was St. Patty's Day weekend, man? How got the new car back from Philly. Is everything good?
Yeah, it was a long weekend. Capped off with an 8-hour drive. Took about 9.5 to get home after it was all said and done. Car runs great. Really happy with it. And Boston was a great time. Got to hang out with my brother and sister. Boston's even better for St. Patrick's Day. It's a madhouse. So had a lot of fun. This weekend got to watch a lot of basketball. Was up in Cleveland visiting my girlfriend's family, celebrating her father's 61st birthday. Okay. That was a good time. Got some good food. Watched some good basketball. But yeah, finally recovered from Patrick's Day. Caught up on some sleep. So ready to dive back in with you guys.
Yeah, my brain was mush last Monday. I would say, yeah. When they put St. Patty's Day like on a Monday or like on this Sunday, like, to kind of throw you off, and you're like, oh gosh, so like, do we start on Friday and just let it ride all the way throughout the weekend? And the answer is yes. So Monday comes around and it's not too many brain cells working up in the old noggin up there. But 2 questions for you. 1, Boston or Chicago when it comes to St. Patty's, because I know you've done the last 2 years. Chicago 2 years ago, Boston this past year. And so go ahead and answer that one. Take it away.
Well, I think there's just too many people in Chicago. It's too crowded. I think I had more fun in Boston this year. It was a good time. My brother lives right in the heart of Southie, so the parade goes right through like his street. So there was a lot of fun activities.
Did you go to the bar and your calf?
Yeah, we went to Whitey Bulger's old little dive joint. It was talk about the diviest of dive bars, man. It was a slummy bar, but it was fun. Got darts and pool going there. There's a lot of cool places up in Boston. The North End, like the Italian district, really cool. Got a cannoli up there on Friday. So I'd say I had more fun in Boston, but I think there's more going on. Just a little bit too much going on in Chicago, though.
Yeah, safe to say. What did you write on your Borg this year?
I didn't do a Borg, sadly. I don't know what I would have done. That's a good question. Save that for the riffing.
Cincinnati Borg Cats, maybe. Something like that could work. But
yeah,
all right, guys. Well, welcome back. Last week I suggested, after the long drive in the new car, I think you immediately have to go to Danco Transmission and Auto Care, right? You got to say, Joe, take a look at the new whip I got, man. Did I get a good deal? Did I get a good job? Can you check under the hood, if you will? Maybe see when I need the next oil change. I can get $10 off that or 10% off the next fixing. Danco Joe will hook you up. Tell him Royer sent you. Tell him Chad Brendel sent you. Tell him Sauce Gardner sent you. Tell him Aaron Smith sent you. And tell him that, you love the BBP and you love Danco Transmission and Auto Care. But aside from that, guys, this Monday is always rough. You go wall-to-wall coverage of college basketball. And yes, we are Bearcats first, no doubt about that. But in the end, we're also sports fans, and college basketball's prime days of the tournament, which sadly we have not been a part of the last few years. They spoon feed you game after game after game. That Monday hits, and you're just like, oh, wow, that was fun, but it's hard to take in. I guess first question is, how's your guys' bracket looking? Because mine's perfect so far. Mine's perfect because no team has played yet in my bracket because, it's the inaugural Crown Tournament. Doesn't start for another 2 weeks or another week. So perfect bracket right now. But I guess outside of that, NCAA tournament, 2 rounds down. What is your glaring thoughts as college basketball landscape, the national brand is kind of grabbing a hold of it this year, and the NIL and transfer portal is truly getting a lot of publicity, whether it be negative or whether it just be a more shining light towards it?
Go ahead, gentlemen.
One shining light?
One shining moment.
Wait, one shining
ball is tipped.
And there you are. Is this our American Idol?
No.
You're thinking Guiding Light, the soap opera. A lot of good seasons on that one. But yeah, Aaron, Ryan, your overarching thoughts on the first 2 rounds of the tournament this year.
Big 12's doing all right. Interesting that you only have 4 conferences left in this tournament. That's pretty crazy. Like
the lowest prior to this was 7 conferences making up the Sweet 16. That was the lowest ever. And now there's 4.
Nuts.
Yikes.
And that one other power conference has 0 currently in the Sweet 16. Go ahead, Aaron.
You talking about the Big East?
Yeah.
The new Big East. A power conference. Isn't everybody saying they're mid-major? I think that's what everybody's saying.
I mean, you're saying it.
It's fine. I don't care.
I don't need a class on bad 80s pop. I'm fully aware of all the bad 80s pop, MA. The other 3 need some work.
Yeah, I watched VH1's top 100 songs of the 80s. I know all about it, man. I know all about it. Go ahead, Aaron.
Of course.
In any case. I don't know. It sounds like everybody is ready to consider the brackets dead. We're never gonna have everything's dead because you don't have much shakeup. You don't have a Cinderella team, and so March Madness is dead. Everyone's over it. Whatever. I don't know. It's been 48 hours of basketball thus far. I think everybody has been pretty locked in. And who gives a shit what the talking heads say? I don't know why anyone watches them anymore at this point, other than while scrolling, if you happen to see a clip. Other than that, no one's watching ESPN anymore.
So
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I kind of, I thought like, I think I find it more entertaining when I guess like the better teams are all in the Sweet 16. I think sometimes when you have like a 15 win or a 16 win in the first round, you kind of want to see these good solid like 1v4 matchups in the Sweet 16. There's always credence to like, the Cinderella runs and all that stuff, but I thought the past couple of years things kind of got blown up just immediately. But I think it's been competitive across the board. Some of those like 16-1 games, there were some 20, almost 30-point blowouts, but I don't really mind it. I kind of want to see like some of the bigger name schools kind of go head to head and really go at each other here. I think the Sweet 16 Elite 8 weekend is going to be really good because you're going to have a lot of good on good, which I'm fine with. It's kind of like, everyone wants the Cinderella runs, but we also want to watch like the blue bloods go at each other, when it's on the Elite Eight's on the line or like going to the Final Fours on the line. I think it's a little refreshing because I think it's been a lot of chaos the past couple of years, but my brackets are doing good. I'm in first place in one group and second place in another group. That might be why I'm kind of praising this current situation, but yeah, I don't mind it. But everyone's talking about the NIL and the transfer portal, but I thought there's still been some good competition with the lower with what's like lower seeds or like mid-major programs. They're hanging in there, they're battling, it's coming down to some shots. And I think the past couple of years there's been teams just like Golke just going nuts versus Kentucky. There just hasn't been like that insane of a performance to really edge the lower teams out, so to say. But I've been okay with it this year.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Jeff.
Ryan, like it's one of like 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right? Like if you get a bunch of upsets, it makes the first weekend more exciting.
Yeah.
Inherently. Because you get a bunch of upsets, there's a bunch of excitement, you see a bunch of like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. But then you get to the Sweet 16 and the quality dips because you're not getting the best teams. You're getting a bunch of double-digit seeds that are generally double-digit seeds for a reason, because that's what they earned. This should be, in theory, an outstanding Sweet 16 Elite 8 weekend coming up.
Yeah.
So, like, when you look at the games that are happening Thursday and Friday, like, whoo! Like there's some monster matchups coming Thursday and Friday. So I'm excited for that. I like the years that we get 4, 3, 4 crazy upsets. But I also enjoy the years where like the best teams, you're going to get a true representation of the best teams in college basketball starting Thursday and Friday. And then again, Saturday and Sunday when you pare it down to the Elite Eight. So I get why people like the casual fan doesn't watch the whole season or doesn't like they watch their team, but they're not like digging into like, you know, really Alabama or Michigan or BYU or like us knuckleheads are like, we can talk pretty intelligently on all the teams that are left.
You guys more than me, but you can.
Yeah, but like you get what my point. Like it, like
yeah.
You know, we can sit here and talk about all those teams. If it's St. Peter's or Florida Gulf Coast, or like you know, we know what we know from. Yeah, we know what we know from watching them over the weekend.
Right.
But we don't have a great feel for those teams. So I like that some years you get a lot of upsets. Some years you get this. Do I think that this is going to be the norm? I think more often than not, the cream is going to rise to the top a little quicker.
Yeah.
But I do think there are still going to be years where you get 2 double-digit mid-majors into the Sweet 16 and one gets into the Elite Eight, or like that's still, I think, going to happen at times. But if we're going to get like deep in the weeds on this, it's probably going to be a little less likely, because what used to happen is those teams would slow burn for 3-4 years. And then in that 4th year, bang, like they maybe play a power team that's younger, makes some mistakes, doesn't hold up to the pressure, and boom, upsets happen. Now, it's a lot less likely that those guys are going to make it to year 3 or year 4 at the mid-major. They're going to get paid.
Yeah.
They're going to get paid. And they should go get paid. But it's still going to happen. It might not happen as much, but we're still going to see it. And I'm going to enjoy that just as much as I enjoy what should be a loaded Sweet 16. It's why, like, when everybody gets in an uproar about they can't expand the tournament. Should they? Probably not. Am I going to say no to watching more basketball?
Oh.
No. I'm going to watch more basketball, and I'm going to be happy about it. So, like, it kind of fits in that world for me, where you take each year for its individual story that it tells. This year's individual story is that the good teams are really good, and we're going to get to watch a lot of good teams play each other for 4 days coming up this week.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, this weekend, you just look at the schedule for Thursday and Friday, and it's every single game is appointment television. Like, even Arkansas, who's the only double-digit seed left, you're like, okay.
It's Arkansas.
I mean, they're loaded with talent, and they've got a Hall of Fame coach. Yeah, so it's like it's time to watch that. What?
Just a name that popped up in the portal that surprised me a little bit.
Okay.
Deshaun Jackson from Iowa State.
Yeah, I did just see that as well. Yeah, I mean, the portal's on fire. We're gonna get on that soon. We're gonna move on from tournament.
I was surprised how they played.
Oh yeah, I mean, you just knew it was gonna catch up to him eventually with all those injuries, man. And there's no way that like Lipsy is like fully healthy, and I'm sure Milan's got a little bit of a lingering to his injury too. It's just they play so physical too. I thought it was bound to catch up to him, but it's just interesting to me as well is the fact that Chad, do you think that eventually it's going to kind of go both ways, where you do see certain as these mid-major teams figure out the portal themselves and how to kind of maximize everything that they can do, where like these players from higher conferences then can trickle down to them? Or do you think because you look right now, the lower seeded teams that won, right? Yeah, exactly. But the lower seeded teams that won are all big time coaching moves. Big time coaches that have already all moved on to different jobs, and so it's
the interesting thing would be, I think this is what you're getting at. Would there be more McNeese States?
Right.
Where their entire roster they had a Power 5 roster.
Yeah. And High Point as well.
They weren't as almost every player at McNeese State started at a high major.
Well, yeah, started, right. But yes. High Point had Bobby Pettiford from Kansas. They had a St.
Yeah,
John's
they had a couple.
Dude. Yeah. Just like kind of that mix, yeah.
Potentially, yeah. Potentially that's an avenue that if you do, both of those schools spent a little bit of cash on their roster. Right. So if you're a mid-major that maybe you just have $1 million in NIL or $1 million to spend, you can still cobble together 100,000 here, 150,000 there. You can still cobble together a pretty good roster of guys that maybe weren't going to get that at the high major level, so they drop down to you. So yeah, I mean, I don't rule that. I don't think it's going to be like a trend, because I just don't think there are enough high majors with $1 million or $2 million to spend.
Yeah,
but the ones that do, have a chance. Yeah, for sure.
Well, good amount of those mid majors, they don't have like football teams to really break the NIL fund on too, so that could, they don't have to gather as much as a total collective. That might give them, a little bit more breathing room. But there's only so many teams, and there's only so many guys that can play on a team and contribute enough, no matter how much money there is. So, I guess if they want to say, oh, I'm still going to get paid, more to be like the eighth man here at a major school, but I want to play, I want to up my draft stock or my professional stock to go play overseas. They're going to want to, get minutes and get production. So like you're saying, I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle where good players are still going to want to play and get reps and, fill up the stat sheet. So they're going to end up going to some of these mid-major schools regardless.
So outside of Oracan, who, Ryan, I know that's your favorite storyline, the equipment manager over there at McNeese. I know you got a big boom box just like he does. You carry that around with you. Eat a lot of BW3s. I know you, Ryan. I know you. What's your single storyline, whether it be from the first 2 rounds or whether it be something that you want to keep track on leading the rest of the way? And then we'll kind of wrap up this tourney talk that's really kind of capturing your eye, that you want to see either continue or that you love to watch. I mean, I've got mine in mind if you guys want an example, but kind of throwing that out there.
I'm going to take half of your question and answer it because the other half I didn't like. But I'm going to go with, I enjoyed the Danny Hurley meltdown with him losing his mind afterwards, and then their director of communications trying to have the video removed from the internet, and that didn't work, so they had to put out this entire statement based on the reporter being in a place where he wasn't supposed to be, where Dan Hurley was having a private conversation with another team. No, he wasn't. He was just being crazy Dan Hurley. Like, that's who he is. I don't know why anybody expected any different, and I hope he gets fined for it because he's a lunatic.
Well, you can lump Mick into that too, Aaron.
His wasn't quite as unhinged.
Mick's was just funny.
It was funny.
I mean, Hurley wears his heart on his sleeve, man.
He does.
He wears his crazy on his forehead is what he does. He wears his crazy on his forehead.
I mean, so is that better or worse than wearing a sock on your junk?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's ask Sauce.
Hey, it keeps them wondering though. They don't really know what's under there. You keep them guessing.
Amen. Like those balls every once in a while. Yeah. Oh, I like that.
There was not any underwear, just a sock.
Wow. You heard it here first.
Cheeks out like Tyson.
Yeah. Or what you got? Any further storyline?
I was, I liked the St. John's story. I like the way they played. Having them lose kind of that was the team I was pulling for. I don't know. I don't really have. There's nothing. I guess that the Amir Khan was like the meme kind of the tournament. I mean, there's something to say about like Calipari kind of going to Arkansas and like that emotional win for like him and his family. I guess that's but he's cool. Just such like it's hard to really like. He doesn't feel like that much of an underdog, because he had all the success in Kentucky, but. I don't know. There's nothing really striking me right now. I mean, Michigan State plays hard. Izzo, like as long as he's been doing it, still his guys, they're a bunch of dogs. They play the game, hard. They've got great leadership. Michigan's been playing well. First year coach, the two bigs they have that just play so well together. But there's nothing really like cool storyline that's really sticking out to me.
Quick on St. John's. In chat, I'm interested in your thoughts on this as well. So they had the Big East Player of the Year on their roster, and what did Pitino decide to do? He sat him on the bench for the final 4 minutes of the game in the loss against Arkansas. It was like a 2-point game when they took him out, and then it ended up being a wider margin of defeat. And then I don't know if you guys saw anything about the post game, presser and whatnot. Like Pitino kind of tiptoed around it and didn't really mention anything about it, just said he wasn't shooting well. But I don't know, kind of a weird move to take out your quote unquote best player for the final 4 minutes if you're trying to like make a statement, I guess. I don't know. Any buzz there?
No, I think it was just a flow of the game. Like he was struggling to put the ball in the basket, and they needed buckets. So, Patino's going to do what Pitino thinks is best to win the game. He's won a lot of them, a lot of them. So I'm not really one to question somebody that is that good at it. I think I'm smarter than Rick Pitino in making in-game basketball decisions. No, I don't.
Don't discredit yourself, Chad. Come on.
I don't.
He was like he was just a net negative on the floor. He was kind of just like he wasn't really providing much other than he was just missing shots. And
isn't that what people freak out about? Why didn't the coach sit this guy? He wasn't playing well. You got to sit him, and then somebody sits him. Why did you sit him? It's like the Will Wade thing. We want coaches to be honest, and then Will Wade's honest. Well, not like that. The level of ignorance that comes from fans because it's emotional, like it's funny. It's comical because they're just reacting. Like there's no thought into it. It's just, I don't like what I saw. What they saw was losing. If he would have done that and they would have won, we'd have called Pitino the greatest coach in the history of coaches because he took his best player who wasn't playing well and sat him in a critical part of the game because he didn't think the guy was going to help him get a win. Like, that's what it come down to.
Yep. And who knows, maybe it translates to more success down the line. I think RJ Lewis is only a junior, so could be more to come. So two final things. Well, first off, I'm not done with the Caleb Love experiments yet. I don't want it to end, to be honest with you. I don't know how much.
Oh, he gets to play Duke again.
Right. I
like, that's the best thing ever. We
so
get
excited.
One more Caleb Love against Duke experience.
Yep.
Him against North Carolina would have been maybe a step better than Duke, but
I'll take this Sweet 16 against Duke. Boy, oh boy, coming off 29 points. Whew.
What is the Duke reference? I'm missing this one.
He was a star at Carolina. Wasn't he there when he lost
Coach
his
last
game?
Yeah. He took down Coach K in his last game. Had hit a big three. It was when North Carolina went on that crazy run all the way to the final game. Ended up losing to Kansas.
Then decided that he was too volatile to really, make a priority. So he goes to Arizona, and he's been exactly the same thing at Arizona, completely hit or miss at all times. Like, he's either, 11 for 19, or he's 3 for 17. Like, he's going to shoot you. He's going to shoot you in just as many games as he's going to shoot you out of.
He was probably the best player in the world on as far as basketball goes last night, and I'm obviously exaggerating, but he was damn fun to watch in that game against Oregon. That was high flying fun. Yes, Jason Cooper, the Hunter Dickinson experience comes to an end. Chad, I think your narrative was always right. Maybe he's just not a winner.
Look, I said this coming out of Michigan. At Michigan, he was on a team with 2 NBA guards and a competent coach. I don't think Juwan Howard's like an all-world coach, but he's a competent coach.
Right.
And he didn't get to the tournament. He like on that team. And then he goes to Kansas and he takes 2 teams that talent-wise could have been as good as anybody in the country and runs them into mediocrity. Aaron, you've talked a lot about Hunter as well.
We called him the compiler all season long. We're not shy about the fact that he will get you buckets, he will get you rebounds, but yes, you need those things, but he wasn't like, I'm going to put this team on my back and we're going to win or anything. He was just going through the motions. Nothing about him really was like, oh my God, this dude is transcendent, or like he wasn't revolutionary. He was just a big.
Marcus, go watch every nightcap in the history of this channel whenever we've talked about Kansas basketball, and you will hear me talk about Hunter Dickinson not being a winner. We have
nightcaps.
We have been on that for years now.
Yes, that's a fact. And one sad note about it, KJ Adams. I haven't seen anything that finally came out. It looked like an Achilles. That kind of sucked to see him not be able to finish out his final game as a Jayhawk. But still, either way, they tried. One final thing: was it a travel?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
We'll never get called.
We would have freaked out if they called that a travel. At that point in that game, the refs blow that for a travel. It would have been twice as bad as not calling it. You think people freaked out because they didn't call it? Should see what happened if they did. And Maryland gets denied a Sweet 16 because they called that a travel with the clock expiring. Whoo!
I would have loved it. Don't travel.
In the NBA, there's no question on that one.
Oh, the NBA, they don't call travel ever.
You could walk up with the ball in your hip.
They've done that.
But man, I tell you what, I was elated when that Colorado State guy hit that 3. That was NBA range all the way over Queen. But you know what? We finally got our one dose of March Madness, and kind of what you were saying, Chad. The casual college basketball. Gosh, I run this little player pool draft thing every year. You know, we've got 15 teams in it. Everyone kind of loves it. It's a lot of fun. You draft players, blah blah blah, and in that group chat, it's a handful of casuals, and boy, they were just hammering like, "This March sucks. This is the worst tournament ever. Was that possibly the worst 2 rounds in the history of the NCAA tournament?" I'm just like, dude, guys, relax, just enjoy it, man.
What do they want? Like every upset possible? I mean, look at New Mexico was hanging in there. Colorado State was literally down to the final shot. Those 2 teams win. I mean, I feel like a lot of people would be like, "Oh, there we go," but it's a damn good game. They're played damn good basketball against a damn good team. So
yeah.
Now we end up getting better matchups in the Sweet 16. I think it's better off that way.
Oh, I completely
good competition, and now you get even better competition and more meaningful games.
I completely agree. Anything more on this? Obviously, we'll have the next week will be kind of a little bit of discussion about Sweet 16 Elite 8, but it'll be mainly a preview of the only tournament that we guys actually worry about. We will reveal our bracket predictions for that tournament as well. Aaron will have an in-depth DePaul Blue Demon scouting report.
It'll be too late for bracket predictions. There'll be 3 games in the books by the time we go live.
Well, then it's a trustworthy thing.
2 games in the books.
It's a trustworthy thing. Do we trust that you hadn't made any picks yet? Or do we trust that you did complete it? That's the big thing. BBP's all about
trust. Is Holtman still coaching DePaul?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron's got a interview with Holtman about the Bearcats that he will be airing on next Monday's pod. It's going to be excitement brewing. But as I mentioned in the opener, as the tournament continues to wear on, the transfer portal opens up. And today was that special day. As far as it goes for UC, 0 players officially entering their name. But a lot of
run it back.
We're running it back. Did you not hear Ryan? They are completely running it back. That's right. Heard it here first. I'm joking. Don't.
Fans are gonna be ecstatic.
True. It's not true. Don't clip that. There are a lot of names though that are being linked, or at least a handful as you follow on the X.com, the Everything app. And as you see on the board as well, just kind of just initial contact. 30 schools have reached out to player X, and there's Cincinnati's name on one of them. I guess as the portal opens, Chad, what's your pulse from around the country that you're kind of hearing? That is it going to be one of those where it's like, okay, because I think already there's been more names that have entered on the opening day than last year on the opening day. It seems like it's kind of just obviously something that just continues to grow as each year comes.
There's a big reason for that.
Yeah.
It opened 2 weeks later this year.
Right.
So teams have been able to, like last year, I believe it opened the day after Selection Sunday, or was it the day after? Yeah, day after. So a week later than it did last year. So teams have been able to have these meetings with their players, the one-on-ones that last year, those are going to happen in the week following the end of the season. And then guys go into the portal. This year, all the meetings had happened. So everybody was locked and loaded, ready to go as soon as the portal opened. So that's a big difference on why we're seeing so many names today than we did a year ago.
I don't know how often you're on Twitter, Ryan or Aaron, but when you see a name listed with Cincinnati reaching out to, is that something that piques your interest, or is it something like, because at this point it's certain schools literally I think is listed with every single player that enters the portal, and it's kind of insane. But when you start to kind of just break down the initial first days, are you excited about portal season? Or are you kind of more just about like, whatever happens? Or are you, I've watched a handful of highlight reels, handful of, interviews, in-depth stats of players linked. It's, for me, it's not Christmas. It's kind of like, I hate this, but it's the norm now. So what's your guys' pulse as it is the opening day of the portal?
Go ahead, Ryan.
I hadn't been on my phone much today. I had kind of a busy day, so I haven't seen too much buzz lately. But I just kind of what you mentioned, how there's so many guys tied to so many players. I feel like it'd be hard to really decipher like who to really be invested in at this point. I think you kind of give it a couple weeks. Well, how long is it open for, Chad? What'd you say it was?
It's open for 30 days.
Okay, yeah. I'd say give it like 2 weeks, kind of cut in half, and then you'll really start to see, the ones that were really after start to rise to the top. And then you can start looking into highlight reels, stats, kind of seeing their game style and kind of how it fits what we desperately need. And yeah, so I'm not really, too hyped on it right now, but I think in 2 weeks I'll be able to kind of pick and choose who I'm most excited for and hoping they land.
I'm just waiting for the dust to settle. I'm not investing anything into anybody. I don't have time for that. I'm busy running after these kids, trying to make sure they don't kill themselves. This weekend, the 2-year-old literally hopped in the crib with the infant and picked her up by the legs and threw her over the rail. No joke. That's a real thing that happened.
Wow.
Hey, so, do you have like a crib cam? Can we
cut that part, guys?
Can we see that?
It didn't record, but we saw it happen in live action. So I don't have any time to be.
Everyone's okay though, right, Aaron? Can we get on the record? Everyone's okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Everyone is okay. We did have to make sure. But everything.
Okay.
But real talk, like
you're gonna have to put a shock collar on the older one. You're gonna have to. Yeah. Like we've talked about this off the air before, but she maybe not on the neck, but like on the wrist or so. You need some form of like.
Maybe it doesn't shock her. Maybe it plays like a song or something, like
no, that wouldn't work.
Like something like that like jolts her up or something,
No.
Mm-mm. Okay. Or not.
Way to write the course there, Chad, making sure it's on the wrist.
Yeah, like you can't zap a 2-year-old like that.
That's a good divert.
But like on the wrist, like an ankle monitor. You might need an ankle monitor for the 2-year-old.
Anytime the baby crosses into the infant's room, it just blares and you have to come running in.
But seriously, I'm not going to invest any time, effort, or energy into guys that aren't going to be here. That's just me. I don't care if they end up somewhere else. So I don't know. My bandwidth is not wide enough to take in the entire portal, every team that Cincinnati has been tied to communication of some sort.
Fair. Which is why we're lucky we have the man on my left or right. Weird how I look left and just really on the right. But Chad, as you have seen all the activity, obviously you're a little bit more in the known than all of us. Minions, I guess you can say. Is your kind of look as far as the prototype that you think is best to be added to the roster, as you've been able to gather information? Is it more so that kind of the same as you have been alluding to in weeks leading up to the portal opening, or have you kind of gotten a little bit more news about maybe they do need to get this, or maybe they do need to get that?
I mean, I think it's what we've all talked about. Like the needs, I don't think are a shock for anybody. They need a big that can score and rebound consistently, and they need a guard, be it a point guard, a shooting guard, a combo guard. Like they need a guard that can get buckets. So I don't think that's shocking for anybody. Right. I do think there's going to be a much different looking roster next year. I do think there will be some core pieces that will be back. But I also think there's going to be quite a bit of turnover. So, I don't think anything is different from when the conference tournament ended a week and a half ago or whatever. Like that kind of stuff just, and some of it is, yes, because they're playing in the Crown. That kind of, I want to be clear on this. It doesn't change what's happening. It just changes when what is happening becomes public. Yeah. Like nothing that comes out after the Crown is any different than if it would have came out today. Like that stuff is still in the works. The people that, if they're going in the portal and it's known they're going in the portal, guess what their agent's doing? Working back channels and letting people know that my guy's going to be available. Like that stuff is still part of how this stuff works. So the Cincinnati staff is still, go ahead.
So similar to Scottie Pippen's kid, who is still playing in the actual NCAA tournament. News comes out today that he's going to be entering the portal. He's not in the portal yet because he's still with the team as they continue to play through the tournament. But he's just, the agents put it out there. Teams are going to find out that he's in the portal. Such is life.
Yeah. Like I know the Cincinnati staff was monitoring the portal all day today. They're going to be making some phone calls. I don't know that we've hit on anybody that has gone in the portal yet that like I'm super confident that they're going to make a move on. Now, you may, in doing all these calls and watching tape and whatever, you may catch somebody that you're like, ooh, that's somebody that we could really use and we might have a chance with. That stuff pops up. But like last year, I was telling you guys Connor Hickman was going to be a priority in as many words as I could before they played Bradley in the NIT.
Yep.
Arrington Page was no shock to anybody. Like, they recruited him hard the first time around. They told him the second time around, if you want to come, come. If not, go.
Yeah.
Dylan Mitchell was a little bit different because it was later in the process. And I do think there were some connections there that tied the two together more than maybe we knew. I'll just say I do know that like Rivals, when Dylan was in high school, was very, very high on Dylan Mitchell. So I would imagine somebody that was a national reporter for Rivals at that point in time was probably also very, very high on Dylan Mitchell. So maybe there was like a connection there that Wes had. I'm just speculating, hypothetically speaking. Just, hypothetically, something I think that could have been a factor in the Dylan Mitchell process. But, generally they're going to have a list of probably 10, 12, 15 guys that if they go in the portal, sorry, too much volleyball yesterday. I'm
too
a little.
Much. Are you a loud cheerer?
Not super loud, but like I'll talk it up. I'm a talk it up guy. Let's go, girls. Let's go.
Oh,
pick it up.
All right. All right.
I guess I'm not annoyingly loud, but I'm enthusiastic. How's that?
They know you're there.
Yeah, like I'm not making a fool of myself, but like, if they lose a couple points in a row, all right, girls, side out here, side out. Let's go, girls.
I like that. Bumps that spike. Bumps that spike.
Yeah. So, I'll talk it up, but I'm a little, I think just the weather going back and forth. And look, man, you got to rip heaters in the rain. It's just not good for you. You probably should avoid that if at all possible. Yeah, but sometimes addictions are what they are. So sometimes you got to go outside and rip heaters in the rain. But there's going to be probably a priority group that they know this guy might enter the portal, and if he does, there's a contact to the agent, or there's a contact to the trainer or the high school or AAU coach, whatever. So it's a matter of like learning as many of those names as you can, and then waiting for him to enter the portal and letting everybody know, hey, I'd keep an eye on this one. Which I think I'm undefeated on. I'd keep an eye on this one's being guys that become priority targets. So that'll be something to watch out for. I just don't think I thought personally that we were going to get a bigger wave of impact type names right away. And we didn't. A lot of it has been mid-major guys.
Yeah.
Guys, first team all conference, or this guy led his mid-major or his low major team in scoring. Like those guys are hitting the portal so far. But I haven't seen a lot of like, there's going to be a long line for this one type guys that jumped in today.
Do you think that's simply because of the fact that a lot of those high level teams are just now having their end of the season
some of it
meetings,
some of it
after playing in the tournament or losing in the first round of the NIT, or I do want to mention this crown thing again because obviously you mentioned last week, not really, but it's gonna be the final keynote here on portal opening day one. Last week it was a pretty strongly defined 7 that you felt were going to be there. Now, Wes had his radio show. You've had a couple other appearances on the radio with Mo. Of Dan Horde was on there, and the feeling seems to be like it's going to be a pretty well intact roster that was playing in Kansas City that'll be heading to in the Big 12 tournament that'll be heading to Vegas a week from today. Is that something along the lines of what you're feeling? And even if that's so, that doesn't mean that whole entire group would be returning the following year as well.
From everything I've gathered, I would be pretty surprised if there's anybody not with the team when they get out there. Mm-hmm. I know there were a couple that were still kind of went on spring break or were gone for a couple days, and like those conversations hadn't happened. I think they start practice in preparation for the Crown tomorrow. And my understanding is it should be a pretty full practice. So, all right. If not a completely full practice. So, yeah, I mean, it's the team. You can make all the jokes you want, but every indication is this team likes each other. They like the coach. They like their coaching staff. And if they have a chance to play together, they want to continue to play together. Now, I think it would have been interesting, like a tournament, like how the NIT is structured this year, where I think it was like 80% mid and low majors. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that would have been something they would have done. I know they turned it down. Like the NIT called and Cincinnati said no thanks. Yeah, some of that might have been
they had to. Yeah, the Crown. The Crown awaits.
Contractually, the Crown awaits. So, but it was like there's, I think 11 of the 16 teams are Power 5 programs. Yeah. So you at least know you're going to get athletically, physically, a higher level of competition in this tournament. Right. I don't think anybody's thrilled with it, but also I think there was a little nudge, basically, like if you play in this thing from the Big 12, if you play in this thing, we'll remember it. And if you don't play in this thing, we'll remember it.
Yeah.
So I think it was like, it wasn't forced upon them, but it also was strongly recommended that they join the party, if you will.
There you go. And we'll dive more into that next week, obviously, day before. Aaron, I'm excited to hear that Holtman interview and your DePaul breakdown. Portal day 1 is open. No names officially in for the Bearcats, and none of Chad's special. I'd keep an eye on this one yet as well. So, but hey, this is first day of many to come. So stay locked into BCJ. Stay locked into to every single little thread that is constantly filled with only things that stick on the current topic of that thread. You guys do a phenomenal job of that. I'll tell you that. And somewhat in jest, but still keep it up, guys. Love you.
I spent many years trying to to navigate that, and it's an exercise in futility. It doesn't work.
I'll tell you what, some funny, some of you guys out there are funny. The comments, the gifts, I keep it up. I enjoy it. So, anything more on this basketball stuff, and then should we riff and mailbag it up?
I mean, I don't really have anything else.
There we go.
A lot of crazy basketball rumors for the Cats on the Twitter timeline today. I can address those real quick. The two main ones.
Yeah.
There's a guy that used to play for Texas Tech. I guess he is an editor for The Athletic now, and also has his own channel on Trilly's Discord or whatever. Yep. That says he expects Jizzle James to go in the portal. I have tried to verify that information. I have called people very much in the know and had people reach out to me that are very much in the know that say that that's not the case. Or at least as of right now, there is no expectation that Jizzle is entering the portal. Could they make that decision? I'm sure they could. But at this point, I have checked with a bunch of people, and people in Florida, people in Cincinnati, people in between, and nobody is hearing that it is imminent that Jizzle is going to the portal, or that a decision has been made that he's going to transfer. Could he? Sure. It's portal season, baby. I'm not ruling anything out. But is it something that like I look at and think like we are counting down the minutes until we hear Jizzle is in the portal? I don't think that to be the case. And if I did, I would have a very carefully worded response that let everyone know I'm not confident that he would be a Bearcat next year. I'm not to that point yet. So we'll see where that goes. And then the other is this rumor that Steve Forbes, who is the head coach at Wake, is a potential candidate at West Virginia. That would open up the Wake Forest job. There's an obvious connection, as if you don't know, Wes Miller's dad, his name is on the practice facility. At one point, he was on the board of trustees at Wake Forest. Everything I've ever heard when Wes's name first like kind of started buzzing around the Cincinnati job, one of the questions was like, why has Wake not, because Wake had a job opening. Steve Forbes got it
the year before. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, why was Wes not involved in that?
Yeah.
My understanding was conflict of interest. Like, his dad is almost too powerful there to have his son be the head coach at Wake Forest. So I haven't checked on that in a long time. I don't know if that still is a factor, is not a factor, whatever the case may be. But that was what I was told then. If the Wake Forest job opens, would it be interesting? Maybe. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you that one way or the other at this point in time. There would be a pretty significant buyout Wake would have to pay to get him. Not as much as the buyout that it would cost to fire him. But I would classify that as unlikely. Yeah. Out of the realm of possibility, no. Unlikely though. That would be a hard sell, man. The guy's been at Cincinnati 4 years. We're going to hire him. And by the way, his dad is the one that's, making or not involved in a lot of decisions at the university.
Yeah. And then their fan base does a big deep dive into West, and all of a sudden they're doing probably the negative angle if they would initially, and then but a handful are doing the positive angle, and it's just like, all right, that's probably just an interesting ordeal. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see. If Forbes does take that West Virginia job, and look, that's a different buyout, Matt. There's two different buyouts. There's a buyout to fire a guy, and then there's a buyout if he leaves,
hire him away. Yeah,
hiring him away. I think the hiring him away one might drop down to $5 million on the April 1st, and the one to fire him, whatever.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to monitor if Forbes leaves. I'm a big Steve Forbes guy. I love Steve Forbes. He cracks me up. Like I've spent many a days watching games with Steve Forbes on the AAU trail, and generally laugh hysterically at his very open and honest repartee, whatever. Whatever. But I don't put a lot of weight into it. Maybe that'll change if the Wake Forest job comes open, but right now I don't think it's anything significant to freak out about.
Yeah, it's a chain of events that the first link hasn't even started to happen.
Right.
There's been rumblings about it, but hasn't. There's still two other names linked to the West Virginia job as well. So we'll see. We'll see as things trickle down the line.
Remember this. then this is factually just coming out. Indiana is paying the highest buyout ever paid to a basketball coach at $6 million for Darren DeVries. Nobody has ever paid more than $6 million to buy out a basketball coach.
I did not know that. I thought it seemed a little low, but
no.
Wow. Yeah.
So
2 different numbers, true. Yeah.
You're thinking that schools just throw around this type of money to buy out coaches. They don't. No. They don't. Football coaches, maybe. There's a lot more money involved in football.
Well, the football schools would be throwing around the football money, so that makes sense.
Ed, shut up.
As far as that other team in Norwood, they are in the heat of trying to find a new coach. Gosh, how about that revolving door? It would just be so funny if they did hire Mac back, and then all of a sudden, whatever happens with that happens, and then all of a sudden Steele's back like 5 years down the line. That would just be a carousel of fun events right there.
And then Steele doesn't work out, and Sean is fired from Texas at that point. So they hire Sean back.
Yeah.
And then it's just a perpetual loop of Steele to Mac, or for Miller to Mac to Steele to Miller to Mac to Steele to Miller to Mac to Steele for in perpetuity.
Yeah, and then Max says, "I promise I will retire from here this time around. Just give me one last stint."
If we're in the trust tree, we're in the trust tree.
Yeah,
I did text Mick yesterday, and I asked him about the Xavier job, and I don't think he would be interested.
Yeah. It'd be quite interesting. Hey, but he is from Cincinnati, right? I mean, wouldn't he want to come back to his roots? I mean,
if you know, I always joke about Huggins. If UC was on fire, Huggins wouldn't piss on it. If Xavier was on fire, I'm pretty sure Mick would legitimately throw gas on the place, like on the fire.
Yeah.
Then he can't get tricked doing the X again with the fans.
Xavier wouldn't be. Joe, get out.
Obviously,
we're joke. It's
his first show, huh? Timestamp. Yeah, I want to hear from Royer. God,
the this timestamp brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. First show. That was good, Brent. That was good.
Love you, Joe Elliott, by the way. I'd say about 50% of the words out of my mouth are kind of just a joke, an underlying joke. So decipher which one is and which one isn't.
There's truth in every joke.
Amen.
That's true.
Amen. As Chad gets it ready, you know, Royer, we didn't get to hear your beautiful pipes last week, but Aaron filled in for you. He did a decent job, but I'm more excited for you. More excited for you, man.
We know.
I mean, the clock is ticking. We've only got one more of these left. If somebody's interested in sponsoring,
ay caramba.
We're almost out of time on New Riff. One more new Riffin' with Royer, and then the Riffin' with Royer segment needs a new sponsor.
Okay.
See what I did there? A new sponsor for Riffin' with Royer.
Woo. Fiercely independent.
Fiercely independent, unabashedly innovative. New Riff produces award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery-exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com.
All right. Just keep it simple to start. What was your favorite or most exciting moment in the first weekend of March Madness?
Okay.
Go ahead, boys.
I would say, oh man, I want to say 2, but I'll say just the very beginning of the first game. Just that ball gets tossed in the air, and you just look at that schedule for all the other games coming up, and you're about to be locked in, and just the thrill that gives you, just the EBGBs you get, just thinking about what lies ahead, and so the opening tip in the Louisville Creighton game.
That was a terrible game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, but I mean, the opening tip was pretty damn awesome.
Creighton reigned it in with the threes was kind of exciting there, that little run they went on.
Yeah, that's right. Aaron, what you got?
I think it was as much time and effort as Chad and I put into covering the Big 12 and recapping the Big 12 and all of that. Seeing them go, 6-1, I think. In the first round. I was super happy.
Thanks for nothing, Kansas.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
Just super happy for the conference and knowing that Cincinnati's going to get a little financial piece of that anyway. But just seeing the success, especially when the only thing you heard about entering the tournament was the SEC and the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big Ten until the talking heads were done slobbering all over the SEC and the Big Ten, and the little old Big 12 just won 6 out of 7 opportunities and still has 4 teams, I think, in the Sweet 16. A quarter of the Sweet 16 is the Big 12, who underachieved last year and are doing their thing this year. Love it.
The Tech game was a little scary though. That first round.
A little. I mean, but they managed. They managed to get to the finish line and get out of there with a dub, which sometimes when you look back, like there's a lot of teams that have made those Final Four runs that you look back at the first one and you go, "Whoo, that one could have gone either way," and then and then you get hot. So
that's right.
But do we know, is Chance McMillan coming back? Do we know?
Dude,
we heard.
How weird is that injury thing? It just because going into it, they said that him and Darren Williams were on the same timeline of like expected to try and play, and there's Williams out there, and Chance is just dressed in street clothes with both games. It's just like okay, but I did hear that possibly coming back.
Favorite moment for me. Maybe there is some wisdom gained, Aaron, in the good SEC teams, the SEC teams that finished over 500 in the SEC. Turns out all those teams were pretty good.
Right.
The teams that went like 6-12 and 7-11, it turns out they weren't. It turns out they weren't good. Well, Texas got a new coach, so maybe things would be better for them. They did get a new coach.
Did you see that coach was high-fiving some of the Texas players during the game?
There's a picture of him high-fiving the guard Joseph or whatever, the guard that scored 29.
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
He's reaching out like out of his way to high-five him running down the court.
Yeah.
Trey Johnson, yeah. So maybe next year going forward, a little more attention to the fact that the teams that didn't go 500 in their conference, maybe if you're one game, like if you're 9-7-9 or whatever gets to 8, whatever. 9-11. If you're 9-11, maybe you can make an argument like they had a tough schedule. But if you got 6 or 7 conference wins, there's no fucking chance you should play in the NCAA tournament. None. So hopefully they went 7-1, the top 8, and then the bottom 6 all quick exit, except Arkansas.
Yep. And there's a team out of Morgantown that probably would still have their head coach, maybe.
No,
No.
he agreed to that Indiana job in the Bahamas in November.
I'm just saying, what if they surprised some people and went to the Sweet 16 this year, and all of a sudden, is it like, oh, just wait for me, I promise. But yeah, Royer, what's your pick? Oh, 30 Walrus.
Real quick, Walrus, if you guys Venmo, if you can get me $200 a month for a Bitchin' with Brendel segment where we just workshop Twitter replies to Xavier fans live, I'll do it. But I need $200 a month.
Could be worth it.
Bitchin' with Brendel is kind of it's a little catchy.
Yeah,
it sounds like
you never bitch though, so I don't know if we'd have much content.
It's true.
It does on Twitter.
I'm not much of a bitcher.
You're a new man.
It's on brand.
My moment's probably the Maryland buzzer beater queen.
Yeah,
the travel that never was. Just the overall, like the Colorado State 3, then lead right into that. That was probably the most electric. I thought the best game was Arkansas St. John's. You know, two big time coaches head to head, battle of the Italians.
Yep.
That was a fun game. Yeah. All right. Second question: what do the Bearcats have to win the crown for you to even care about this tournament?
I will not care about the tournament one way or the other than we have to do content.
I'm an insane man, so I know that when
the ball is tipped.
Yeah, exactly. I'll say I don't care about this. I don't care about this, and then like I guarantee you, day of, I will be like starting to be a little nervous, starting to be a little locked in, and a little weary, and all of a sudden I'll be like, "Gosh, like win! Like I know you might not be here next year, but win." So it's kind of
like here's the
ladies
thing,
and
though,
gentlemen,
Brent,
the ball is tipped and the crown tournament has begun.
Woo-hoo!
Welcome to April.
Wow. Welcome to April. We still sleep in May or like in 1 week.
Boy. Welcome to April. Are you going to tweet that at midnight, April 1st? Welcome to April.
Should I do the whole 24-hour countdown?
Yeah, I think you should.
Like Rothstein does for March.
Yeah. I don't know. I've had Rothstein muted for years.
23 hours till April. Yeah. I might do it actually.
Oh, that sounds funny.
Here's the problem, Brent.
Yeah.
If they do take the whole team and like they don't have any defections and Cincinnati is intact,
pretty damn good chance to win.
And they don't win the crown,
then it's
April apathy.
Instead of March Madness, April apathy.
Yeah, April apathy.
That's fantastic, MA.
Kind of like it. Kind of dig it. Yeah, no, I agree actually, Chad. I mean, or
like if the whole team is there,
get bounced
and they come out,
round one.
Yeah, or UCF in round 2.
Oh yeah. Then it'll be kind of like we'll pop back on the next PvP and be like, well, that sucked. Anyway, moving on.
Right.
Do Aaron's big moving on and just keep rolling. So
moving on.
Do extra practices even help next year's team? No, not really.
Nope. This is not a glorified bowl game, baby.
This tournament's so far away that Hickman will be ready.
Good point. Real good point, actually.
It starts a week from tomorrow. We're almost there.
That is still just, dude. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, God, we don't even play for another week plus. It's just nuts.
Think of all the things that happened in the last week.
The Cincinnati Reds play a baseball game before we play. How about that?
Can't wait.
like 4. They play like 4 baseball games before.
I'd say more than one.
Bearcats play.
Right. Nuts.
Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I think they got 4 games before the Bearcats play 1.
Right. Insanity.
Tourney ends on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
By the time they play the crown, CJ Frederick will be the head coach of the Bearcats. That's how long it is between now and the crown.
That's correct. You see it now. Royer, you got another one?
I do. What's one basketball player that you could take out of the Crown tournament and throw him into spring practice that you'd be most hyped about?
Ooh, I like this. I like this a lot. Well,
I mean, Jizzle.
Low-hanging fruit.
I'm not going to take the low hanging fruit. I'll let you
No.
guys go. I got one.
I'm going Day.
Yeah,
that's
the
that
one I
dude.
would take too.
He could
Turning
be
kicks,
or a safety.
A safety.
Just a headhunting safety. Wow. I kind of want him to play football.
I'm going with Aziz. Red zone fade, 10-yard line and in. Just throw him out wide to the
You've
to the
watched him
boundary.
catch a basketball and think red zone threat?
See,
Hey, just get him in that back pylon. Just say jump as high as you can.
that's where I would go with Dylan, actually, because I think
Aziz
he's
would be
fast.
more funny.
He's agreed. But Dylan's actually fast enough that you could throw him a 50-50 ball down the field on a go route, and he'd be able to go
name a DB that's going to out jump Dylan Mitchell.
I can't.
No, not one.
Dylan might be the answer, Aaron.
Dylan might be nice.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, how come that's never happened? Where you just have like a 7'4" wide receiver, 7'2" wide receiver that
they can't freaking run.
Just comes in for just goal line opportunities.
Yeah.
And just take 3 steps. You're in the end zone and just have the quarterback just like toss it up. I mean,
the kid at Michigan that's 7'9".
No, at Florida
or Florida,
yeah.
The kid at Florida that's 7'9". You just
why not
line him up and throw it as high as you can. He'll get it.
Not a bad idea. We're on to something.
I'm kind of liking this idea. Olivier Roux, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
There we go.
Josh Reed at defensive end. They would take a kidney shot from Vontez Perfect and snap in half. You're right. That's why Jizzle or Day. Like I do think Day would be a good defensive back. Jizzle would obviously be a running back. Obviously.
Right. For sure.
Haven't heard that analogy 480 times.
Built like a running back.
He's
built like a running back.
God.
Does he have a connection to football?
Vague. It's wishy-washy.
They showed his dad at the game last year at UCF, and
they did. He looked like he let himself go a little bit.
Doesn't look like an athlete to me. Golly, you got one more for us, Roy?
I was trying to remember what I was texting you about. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was on Thursday actually.
A
while back, but you were saying, "Hey, man," I was like, "What's up, dude?" And you were like, "Oh, not much, brother. Can you believe all this stuff that's happening to me on Twitter this week?" And I'm like, "Dude, I know it's kind of insane, but I'm here for you, brother." And you said, "I know, me too. Should we go buy some more socks?" Blah blah blah. Anyway, and then you were like, "Yo, but one more thing. I'm so excited for this tournament to start. This Thursday, the first day of the tournament, is my single favorite non-championship day in the sports calendar." What's your favorite, Brent? I said, whoa. Ryan. Oh.
I'm going with that day that Sean Miller high-fived the Texas,
insane.
The best player for Texas in the middle of a
what are you
elimination game.
I mean, that has to be incidental. There's no way it was like, good shot, man.
It clearly is. They're pointing. The Texas bench is like signaling like a made 3. Like
I know. That's a funny pick. But no,
AI
Ryan
did it, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, blame it on AI. ChatGPT, can you make me a picture of Sean Miller dapping up? Okay, but no, you were like, yeah. What's your favorite non-championship sports day on the calendar? And you, because you were saying that you like opening day and you like, Sunday. Well, Friday of the Masters and Saturday of this and this of that. And I said, just save it, Ryan. We always say this. Let's save it for the BBP on Monday. Favorite non-championship sports day on the sports calendar every year. What you guys got?
Mine's probably the first round of the playoff.
NFL playoffs?
NFL playoff, Ryan? The first round, like the wild card round?
No, the college football playoff.
Oh, the college football playoff. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
That's a good one.
That is good.
First round of the NFL draft.
Wow. Okay. I like that. That's a good one. Good job.
I think for me, it's always been conference championship Sunday in the NFL.
Okay.
That is a good one.
Like you get two just elite games with everything on the line, back to back.
Yeah.
Like I had a buddy, Dan Claskins, that runs Get Sports Info and Tri-State Football. Dan, I don't know if he still does or not, but would always throw a party on that Sunday. Like that was like his Super Bowl Sunday. He like, look, Super Bowl, you get one game. We do it on Conference Championship Sunday, and we do it for like 7 hours. You get two games. We get lit. We get litty.
No opening day for you guys. I feel like that's a big Cincinnati.
I love opening day, but
yeah,
it's just like with baseball. It's just like the first week, like the first 10, 15 games, you're like, all right. And then if your team's doing well, then like it's coast until, the push for the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just such a long season though.
I know.
Not as much on the line.
I like all those picks. Aaron, good one. Because for me, kind of, I love the NBA draft. I hate that they've done it to 2 days now, which I just think is just ridiculous. But
nobody cares about the second day.
Yeah, no one cares about the second day. I mean, the first round's awesome. You're going to lock into that. Right. And then you got to play.
The lottery's awesome. Like the first 10, 12 picks are awesome.
Yeah.
That's why I wouldn't pick the NBA draft. Like you really want to see like the first 10, 12 picks. After that, those teams are loaded. The guys that they draft are probably never going to make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And
then in the second round, you've got future Hall of Famers getting drafted during Taco Bell commercials. So it all makes sense. The quesarito, man, what a GOAT menu item for old Taco
Bell. I will say back in the day growing up, Rock and Jock Day was probably, if you're old enough to remember, on MTV, Rock and Jock.
Oh yeah,
I remember Rock and Jock.
I don't remember, but it sounds awesome.
It was where they would have like, they would when they would do whatever sport it was, whether it was the basketball day or the baseball game.
I thought you meant there was like International Rock and Jock Day.
No,
like July 23rd every year we get Rock and Jock.
But it was Ryan. It was like where they would have like celebrity. It was kind of like what they do now with like the celebrity all-star games and shit. But MTV was doing it on a way better level than any of them are doing it these days.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still taking first Thursday of the NCAA tournament. That's my pick. That's just. I mean, whether you.
It's for me it doesn't count because Mo takes that day off.
Oh, yeah.
I do radio that day. So I miss the entire like daytime block. Yeah. And then usually I also have to do Friday. So the nighttime block, I'm getting a show ready for the next day and like I'm watching games, but you don't get to have a few cold ones with it because I got other stuff to do and Friday, like I did radio Friday, came home, had a couple cold ones Friday night, and then rolled into Saturday. But then Saturday I was in bed early because I had to go spend 15 hours in a volleyball gym watching volleyball.
Bang.
Bang. But no, that Thursday and that Friday of the NCAA tournament, just in the freaking elements. Whew, God, blood just flowing, happiness
in all the right places.
Amen. I need the Bearcats to get back in so I can add that to the mix. So hopefully soon.
Unreal.
Let's timestamp this though. Ryan, it was great to have you back, dude.
Yeah, I missed you guys.
That was phenomenal, dude. God, you were ready. Ready, baby.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company. For all your non-food products, they provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby.
All right, boys. In order to stay on pace, we need one 10-minute answer, one 20-minute answer, and one 30-minute anser.
Just completely
wrap us up
locking
right
it.
around 2.5 hours.
Did you know Richie Saunders' grandpa invented the tater tot, man?
The tater tot, yeah.
Quite a phenomenal little nugget there, if you will. Ryan's gonna look that up. He's blown, mind blown. But yeah, spring football. Does practice start up again? Did it start today again, or is it gonna be tomorrow, Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Okay, Wednesday. So we will have coverage. Team back from spring break, covers then again picks up Wednesday. We'll have all of that for you then. But for now, it is time to mailbag it up.
All right, starting off in the football portion of the mailbag, there is one question.
Ready.
Are there any true freshmen that you look forward to seeing develop this spring?
I've got a pick.
Then tell us.
Gio, and I don't want to like screw up his name, so maybe you can help me, Chad. Gio Contosis,
I think. Contosis, yeah, something like that.
Well enough.
Gianni.
Gio.
Contosis.
Yeah,
Gio Contosis for short. From all accounts, from you, Chad, and everything, he looks like he's just not a true freshman. So excited to see, as obviously the whole entire wide receiver room for the most part. There's a couple returners kind of did that page flip. Is he able to kind of use this day one ready frame to see if he can also maybe have an impact out there on the field as well? So I'm excited to see what his development looks like throughout spring.
I feel like the name Tim Griffin has come up several times. He is an edge in this 25 class. It's a very very generic name, if you will, but I don't know. I'm anything that we can get production wise out of the edge position this season, I am all in.
I would probably go with Griffin as well, Aaron, just from sheer like physical stature. When we talked about for 2 years, like you look at the other team when they come out for warmups and you go, whoo, those guys look a lot bigger than our guys. Yep. Tim Griffin at already 6'5", 255, whatever. I don't know what. I don't know what Nico has built him up to at this point, but he looks different. Is he any good? I don't know. Rob Jackson looked different, and Rob Jackson hasn't exactly fully panned out yet. But Tim Griffin stands on the football field, and you go, that guy looks like a football player. I like him. So it will be interesting to see if throughout the spring we start to hear his name a little bit. Now, he'll probably be going against the second and third team offensive line, but if he's going to be good, he should dominate the second and third team offensive line.
Against them. Yeah.
So I will be tracking Tim Griffin over the next couple of weeks to see if he flashes.
Nailed it.
Good call, Aaron.
Heck yeah, Aaron.
What's his ankles like, Aaron?
I haven't been in practice. Ryan, anybody to add?
No, I haven't really been able to look at the true freshmen on the lineup yet so far.
Ryan, Saturday practice this week.
Who?
I'm going to be out of town.
Oh, where you going,
excuse, bro? You always got an excuse, bro.
Where you
Every
going?
time.
Don't call me out. Going to DC.
I was hoping you were coming down south, bro.
To Florida.
All right.
I wish.
That ends the football portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the basketball portion of the mailbag. Do you think the staff will go after either Conwell or Swain?
No, probably not.
I don't want to.
I would be surprised if they did.
I don't want to do that. Xavier's discarded. There's a theme here, apparently. What's the odds of Mac coming back to Xavier and Mick coming back in 26 to UC? Round 2 of the Mick-Mac Wars.
What's the odds of Mac coming back to Xavier? Like 97.4%. What's the odds of Mick coming back in 2026? Like 4.6%.
You're giving it 4. Wow.
I mean, anything can happen. Anything is possible. So I'm not going to put it at 0, but I don't think it's very high. It's very, very low.
4 is higher than I anticipated.
Gotta get the people talking about something.
Let's give them something to talk about.
Oh, heck,
he's not going
to
say.
We are a singing pod tonight, guys.
I mean,
just the singers, man.
Breaking out into song. Ryan, you have not broken out into song yet.
I know. I gotta wait for my moment.
I think he's a sneaky good singer.
Any scoop on how the messaging has been between the donors and Wes? Wes sold building it slow the last 3 off seasons, and now he has to sell a top of the roster overhaul. More than top.
There is still buy-in from the top donors from everything that I've heard. I know the fans are angry, but the fans aren't super rich. So the people that are super rich get a lot more say in this process. And from what I've heard, there's, obviously they aren't happy with how this year went, but as I have talked about many times, big donors generally have much more of a long view than an emotional fan, because people that are donating a lot of money are looking at the big picture. It's an investment. It's not, I'm pissed off, so the world must burn. Like that in a lot of ways would devalue their investment. So they want it to work out. Now, if we get to this point in time next year, and they still haven't made the NCAA tournament, I doubt there would be as much buy-in. But the sense I get from talking to people about this very specific subject is that the people that control the purse strings are still pushing forward and trying to get this thing right and get the Big 12 figured out. So I think from that perspective, things are still okay.
All right, this question. If the Bearcats played all 68 teams in the dance field one time, over under on 22.8 wins or 33%.
Over.
Way over. The problem Cincinnati had was top 25 type teams. So there's going to be 40 teams that they would favorably match up against. They beat a 6 seed. They beat an 8 seed. Like,
And I mean, there was the first tournament ever, I believe, where there was no 16, 15, 14, or 13 seed advance.
Right.
So a little watered down those teams this year. So that right there, 16 teams. And you're telling me I need 7 more wins out of all the rest? Wait.
From 6 seed, 7 seed, 8 seed, 9 seed, 10 seed, 11 seed, 12 seed. You just need 6 more wins. Significantly over. significantly over. Again, everybody is acting like this thing is bottomed out completely. It is not bottomed out completely. They just haven't been able to go from just outside the tournament to in the tournament. Like, is that frustrating as hell? Absolutely. Did they fail to meet expectations? Absolutely. But it wasn't like they didn't have the season Colorado had. Like, they were close. We were talking about them making the tournament until the final week. And if they beat Kansas State and Oklahoma State, it's probably a pretty good chance they would have made it, because that bad quad one record apparently wasn't that much of an issue. But then, maybe Sean Miller doesn't get to high five Trey Johnson and dap him up in the middle of the game. And then we would have been robbed of the hilarity that was the past 24 hours. So,
yeah, we had 4 more wins in Colorado.
Book it.
Right.
Wasn't a dumpster fire, but it feels like it after the so close moments.
Correct. Yeah. I'm not saying it was good. I'm just saying, like, people act like it was as bad as it could possibly be. They still went 10-1 in the non-conference, and they won 7 games in the Big 12. Like, it could have been a lot worse.
If we lose to a dreadful DePaul team in round 1 of the Crown, is it par for the course or a new low?
Wouldn't be great. Aaron and I would have a very bad time at 5:00 that Tuesday afternoon.
Right.
I'll tell you that. Have a very bad time.
I swear, everyone's saying that they don't care. The second that that game starts getting any juice at all, the second that you see it on X.com.
I'm gonna call if they lose to DePaul and that chat is full when we do the aftermath. I'm calling out all of them.
Oh, it's gonna in the board. It will just be flooded. The Fire West, for whatever part will just be on a blaze. I think it would be bad. It would be bad, but I don't think they're gonna lose to DePaul.
Quentin Richardson is not walking through that door.
Holtman's a good coach, but this is just
he's got the Bearcats number. Chad, they have to be interested in you. Like, we have to have this recruiting conversation again. Why wouldn't Cincinnati be interested in Conwell? What if he doesn't take your call? What if he doesn't want to come to Cincinnati? What if that's not an option? They have to like you. Like, you can't just say you're dating somebody. Oh, I'm dating whatever.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah. She doesn't know about it, so it doesn't count.
I mean, we are, though. I don't know what you're talking about.
Has every player returned from break and has practice resumed?
My understanding is they had workouts over the weekend, and then practice starts tomorrow, I think. From my understanding, everybody's here.
All right. If you lied your way into being Xavier's AD and got to hire a basketball coach, who would you hire to tank the basketball program? It has to be an actual coach. You cannot pick Doug Gottlieb, as he was in the chat.
Yes, I can.
That's an actual coach.
That is the correct answer. Doug Gottlieb.
On the board.
He is an actual coach. I can absolutely pick Doug Gottlieb.
I mean, to be honest, I think that
Kenny Payne.
Kenny Payne. I think if you told Mick, hey, listen, here's what's going to happen. I'm the AD of Xavier. I don't know how, but I am. So I'm going to hire you. We're going to do this 1 year together, and we'll both ride off in the sunset. And then
I'm going to give you a huge buyout to fire you.
Right.
And we're going to run this thing into the ground.
Is this Mike Bone taking over Xavier? Buddy, come on over. What about John Brandon?
I hope Mac hires. That'd be fun.
I don't know if he can get away from painting or not, but
I mean, I don't think he's actually painting. I think he just owns the company. So maybe he could do both.
He's got that little Danco painting. What's his name? The mailman.
On his radio show last week, Miller talked about seeing college basketball as professional sports now and emulating successful pro sports models, noting he expects UC to fill positions, plural, this offseason in pursuit of that. Other than the GM, what kind of front office type positions might UC be adding?
What NBA positions do you think that they should add other than a GM? Like, I don't foresee offensive and defensive coordinator. I don't know. I think that was just a cover for I'm hiring a GM, but I'm not telling you who it is. Right. So I'm going to talk about it in a very broad scope so that I don't have to say I'm hiring Corey Evans as my GM.
Well, and I also think that the GM in college sports kind of umbrellas a lot of the roles that NBA teams have, like, scouts and, advanced, whatever, the multiple NBA,
I mean, if they brought somebody in to be like a scout with Corey,
right?
Would that shock me? No. Like if Corey's like, hey, I want this guy like on my GM staff, like Zach Grant has Jack and Cass and Carter. Would that shock me? No, that wouldn't shock me. Have I heard something like that's going to happen? No. But I do think it's just Wes was speaking in a broad term so that he didn't get pinned down on, yes, I'm hiring a GM. His name is Corey Evans.
All right. Also, Bob Huggins might actually be the answer here for that last question.
Yeah. You want to watch Xavier Stan's heads explode?
For all the reasons.
Here's your new head coach, Bob Huggins.
I feel like he was talking about a special themed night on the radio with Cunningham that he might try and bring back there. I don't know.
Did you see, though, McNeese said a named up track is Bob Huggins.
Yeah.
On that note, that's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
You know what, guys?
Nothing. No baseball, no Banks.
That's depressing.
Where's Skins? Have we heard from Skins?
I think he got divorced and he's having like threesomes or something. I don't know.
Good for him. I mean, not necessarily, but if that floats your boat, then sure. Anyway, you know what, guys? The first two rounds were fun for me. The next two rounds are going to be even better. But next week,
then the crown.
I'm just saying, but next week, Aaron has a sit-down interview with Chris Holton breaking down the Bearcats, and then we're also going to have
he's driving to Chicago. I think he's driving to Chicago to do it.
Going to be unbelievable. Going to be a phenomenal scenario. But for real, big Sweet 16, big Elite 8, college basketball is fun. Stay locked into BCJ for the portal. There's going to be a lot of action going on there. That's for doggone sure. But you know what, guys? Oh yeah, spring ball firing up as well. So stay locked in for that too. But guys, for the crew, we had a great one. For the crew, for the squad, for my pals, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!